Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Nicole stood there as if the ground had vanished beneath her feet, her entire body frozen by the force of a truth she had never prepared herself to face. The woman who had just entered did not carry confusion in her eyes, or hesitation, or even the kind of wounded uncertainty that sometimes comes before a confrontation. She carried certainty. She carried rage sharpened by humiliation, and the moment she fixed her gaze on Nicole and warned her to stay away from Kial, everything inside Nicole seemed to go silent at once. It was not merely the shock of another woman appearing out of nowhere. It was the devastating clarity of what that woman represented. In one breath, in one look, in one brutal warning, Nicole understood that the love she had been clinging to was standing on rotten ground. The man she had trusted, defended, and perhaps even allowed herself to imagine a future with had not simply hidden a detail from her. He had built an entire emotional world around her using lies. For a few unbearable seconds, Nicole could barely process the words. Her mind seemed to reject them even while her heart already knew they were true. So many moments suddenly shifted shape in her memory. The explanations Kial had given when he disappeared without warning, the evasions, the half-truths, the strange pauses in conversations that Nicole had once dismissed because she wanted to believe in him more than she wanted to doubt him. She had made room for his inconsistencies because love often tricks people into becoming generous with what should never have been excused. But now all of those missing pieces rushed back with sickening force, and what had once seemed complicated now looked painfully simple. Kial had never been honest with her. He had let her step deeper and deeper into a relationship that was poisoned from the beginning, and he had done it while knowing exactly how much damage the truth would cause when it finally surfaced. That was the part that truly shattered her. The embarrassment was immediate, hot, and merciless. To realize that she had unknowingly become the other woman was humiliating enough. But the deeper wound came from understanding that her feelings had been handled so carelessly by someone she had trusted. Nicole was not just hurt because Kial had a wife. She was hurt because she had been turned into a participant in a betrayal she never agreed to. She had been made part of a cruel arrangement without her consent, drawn into a secret she did not create, and left exposed when that secret exploded in public. There is a very specific kind of pain in discovering that the love you believed made you special was, in fact, built on manipulation. It leaves a person feeling foolish, used, and deeply angry not only at the liar, but at themselves for having believed him for so long. The shock inside Nicole did not stay shocked for very long. It changed quickly, almost violently, into anger. That anger was not loud at first. It was colder than that. It moved through her like steel. The kind of anger born from humiliation is often far more dangerous than tears because it no longer begs for understanding. It no longer seeks comfort. It seeks distance, clarity, and sometimes destruction. In that moment, Nicole no longer wanted to hear any soft excuses from Kial. No more carefully arranged explanations about how things were complicated. No more emotional pleading meant to blur the edges of what he had done. Whatever he might say now would come too late. The truth had already entered the room in the form of a woman whose pain was real, whose claim could not be dismissed. and whose presence shattered every false promise Kial had ever made. Nicole's heartbreak was now laced with fury, and fury has a way of stripping away illusions faster than sorrow ever could. As for Kial, the situation he had tried to manage in secret finally rose up around him like a fire he could no longer control. Men like him often believe they can delay consequences through charm, through timing, through the arrogance of assuming that two separate lives can be kept from colliding forever. But there is always a moment when the walls fall apart. Kial had reached that moment. He was no longer standing in the center of a carefully balanced deception. He was standing in the ruins of it, trapped between the wife he had hidden and the woman he had seduced with tenderness, promises, and emotional intimacy. There is no clever path through a situation like that. Only exposure. Every second of hesitation, every incomplete sentence, every attempt to calm one woman without fully acknowledging the damage done to the other would only make him look smaller, weaker, and more dishonest. That is what makes this kind of betrayal so explosive. It is not just the lie itself, but the cowardice that follows it. A man caught between truth and self-preservation often reveals his ugliest side, not because he sets out to be cruel in that moment, but because he is desperate to escape accountability. Kial's instinct to stall, to soften the truth, or to make both women wait for the version of events that best protects him will only deepen the wounds on both sides. His wife will see a husband who humiliated her by building another attachment behind her back. Nicole will see a man who never loved her enough to be honest. And Kial, instead of controlling the narrative, will become the very center of a storm that grows worse every time he refuses to speak plainly. Nicole's grief, then, is not the grief of losing a simple romance. It is the collapse of trust, dignity, and emotional safety all at once. She must now confront the terrifying possibility that what she thought was love may have been convenience for him, escape for him, vanity for him, while for her it was something real. That imbalance is devastating. It makes every memory feel contaminated. It forces her to reconsider what was sincere and what was performance. And perhaps most painfully, it leaves her with the realization that the future she may have quietly imagined was never truly available to her, because it had already been promised elsewhere. From here, nothing can return to what it was. That is the cruel finality of revelations like this. Once a hidden wife steps into the light, once a secret relationship is named for what it is, once the lie becomes visible to everyone involved, the old emotional arrangements cannot be restored. Nicole cannot simply go back to innocence. The wife cannot go back to ignorance. Kial cannot go back to control. The only thing left is fallout. And fallout has a way of spreading beyond the original betrayal, touching pride, family, reputation, and every unresolved resentment that had been waiting beneath the surface. What began as a hidden emotional triangle is now a full crisis with no safe exit. In the end, that may be the most tragic part of all. Kial did not just deceive two women. He created a situation in which both of them were forced into pain while he delayed the truth for as long as possible. Nicole now stands at the edge of a brutal awakening, furious not only because she was lied to, but because she was made to feel that her love meant something sacred when it was actually being used to support a lie. And the longer Kial continues to hesitate, the more violent that awakening will become. What could have been a confession has become an explosion. What could have been a painful truth told early has become a humiliation revealed too late. And now this story is no longer about romance. It is about consequences, and consequences, once they begin, rarely stop where the liar hoped they would. Thank you for watching the entire video. Please like and subscribe to the channel for the latest updates on the series.